The Supreme Court is wrapping up its term this week. Today, the court ruled that states can count ballots which arrive after Election Day. The decision rejects a Republican challenge to late arriving mail ballots. Over a dozen states allow certain ballots to be counted after Election Day if they meet state deadlines. President Trump argued lengthy vote counts are evidence of cheating. The Supreme Court disagreed.
Well, because of the mail-in ballot ruling, which was a little bit surprising, gives people more time to vote illegally, let's say. The ruling, which a lot of people were waiting for, that was a ruling that was, I think it was very detrimental to honest elections.
The court also rejected President Trump's attempt to immediately fire Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook. It comes after Trump fired Cook last summer based on allegations she had committed mortgage fraud. Cook denies any wrongdoing. In a separate case, the Supreme Court says Trump is allowed to remove a member of the Federal Trade Commission for policy reasons and also allows him to fire officials at independent agencies. In yet another ruling, the Supreme Court is in favor of a man's challenge to a geofence warrant used by police to access cell phone location data near a crime scene leading to his conviction for armed robbery. The defendant argued he was subjected to an illegal search and evidence in his case should be excluded, and that geofence warrants violate the Fourth Amendment, which requires law enforcement to need a warrant to search private property or obtain specific information. President Trump will have to pay $5 million in compensation to magazine columnist E. Jean Carroll after the Supreme Court declined to take up his appeal over a verdict that found him liable for defamation and battery. In 2022, Carroll sued Trump, claiming he sexually assaulted her in the 1990s. She also claimed he defamed her by saying she made it up and to boost her book sales. Trump has denied any wrongdoing and says the judge in the civil trial made errors. Today, Luigi Mangione appeared in a Manhattan federal court. The judge announced the trial will begin January 5th. Mangione pleaded not guilty to federal charges of stalking and fatally shooting United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Mangione's state trial will start in September. He pleaded not guilty to New York state charges alleging he murdered Thompson. Legal experts say Mangione's attorneys are keeping their options open, with the federal trial strategy hinging on the outcome of his state case. Over the weekend, the U.S. and Iran exchanged multiple strikes. The military action tested an initial agreement which was supposed to halt hostilities during 60 days of negotiations. But a U.S. official says the two countries agreed to stand down for now. And today, President Trump announced that American and Iranian negotiators will meet in Qatar tomorrow. Officials say negotiations are on track, but called Iran's position on the matter currently unclear.
This is going to be a long process. I am happy that there's a ceasefire, that the hostilities have stopped for a day or so. But this, having lived through the JCPOA, the Obama nuclear deal, it took a long time and there was a lot of back and forth, stops and starts. So I didn't expect this to come to fruition overnight.
Shipping through the Strait of Hormuz has gone up over the last 36 hours. That's according to ship tracking data. But traffic is still far from pre-war levels. Today, oil prices slightly rose. The global benchmark Brent crude is at $73 a barrel, almost $1 higher than yesterday. And U.S. crude had a similar rise, now at $70. Gas prices remain stagnant today, with the national average for a gallon of regular gas sitting at $3.86. Here in Iowa, the average is $3.48. Today, the U.S. says it will contribute $300 million to recovery efforts in Venezuela after a pair of earthquakes hit last week. Over 1,400 people are dead, with tens of thousands still missing. A senior administration official says at least 3 Americans were killed and several others are missing. The U.S. has hundreds of search and rescue personnel in Venezuela and hundreds of military members assisting with relief efforts. Several U.S. field hospitals are running with additional ones expected to be functional in the coming days.